Good evening, everybody. Good to see the faithful here today. And there's some things I just wanted to share with you. I don't know how relevant they may be to you. I don't know how relevant they may be to the larger cultural landscape that we find ourselves within. But I don't know about you. But there are times when I feel that we have been kicked in the gut and kicked in the gut and kicked in the gut to the point you just wonder sometimes, what are we doing? And whatever it is it worth it? You know? And I try not to share those kind of feelings with you because I am an optimist and I don't want to spread pessimism. I want to be an encourager. But to tell you the truth, folks, I get depressed too sometimes. I get mad sometimes. And I went to work today. Had a 12-hour shift. And I started at 7. But there's a young lady, she's kind of new. She's been with the company about a month, and she's like 30-something. She's got about a bunch of kids. She's married, but she seems quite coachable and very willing to learn, and that means a lot to me. And I saw her out in the parking lot, so we got to have just a little time together privately. Well, privately in a parking lot, whatever. But there wasn't anybody here listening to us, I guess. And she's a believer. And she says, I know that God intersected our lives together because you are such an encourager to me and such a good coach. And she was bragging about some of the things she was doing, putting her initials on every piece of paper that she touches, if she has anything to do with it. And she was, kind of letting me know that, hey, coach, I'm doing what you say, And I was really proud of her. And she kind of got teary, and that just meant a lot to me. Before I say more, I've got more, but let me preface it with this. This is not about me. This is really about you, and I'll bring it back home to you in a moment, but I can certainly share my personal testimony today, what happened to me today. And so later on, I find out, I did not know this, but my boss will not be there tomorrow, and I will be acting in her capacity. Okay, well, I've done that before. I mean, it's an honor to do that, but quite frankly, there is nobody else. So even if I weren't that good at it, I would still be it. There's just nobody else. But it's still, I take it very seriously when I am placed in sort of this temporary command, of the team, and get to be quarterback for a few plays anyway. And so then let's see, I don't know the exact title of the guy, but it's my boss's boss's boss. I mean, it's pretty high brass. Shows up in the store, and he wanted the general manager of the store wanted to meet with me, and he wanted, so the two of them, the general manager and the big brass, wanted to talk to me privately. Okay. And the general manager said, look, Mark, you've got two people, or all three of the people. It's a shift. There'll always be two, but one will be there all day, another will be there half a day, the other one will be there the other half of the day. So I'll always have two people under me throughout the day. None of them have more than 2 months of experience. They're very new. One of them is the one I shared with you about earlier. And Larry, the general manager, said, Mark, I'm very, I just, I'm worried that, he says, there's just nobody else to help you. And I obviously didn't know this was coming. I didn't even know that my boss was off tomorrow and that I would be in the captain's chair. And so I didn't have time to rehearse the right answer, but instinctively I said, you can count on me. It'll be okay. And the look they got, it's like they believe me. And I said, have you ever not been able to count on me? I said, whatever the challenge is, we'll deal with it. It'll be fine. Don't worry. And it just kind of felt good that, here I am, the guy, I've been there 2 years, talking to senior management, trying to lecture them a little bit on it'll be okay. So that was fun. Well, later on, as the day was closing, we were trying to, lock up the cars and all that. Well, the big brass guy, he pulls me over to the side and said, Mark, there's something I need to share with you. And he says, there are 233 regions in the country. There are over 5,000 stores. So he's head over this region, which is basically like North Florida, South Georgia, the center, what we call the Big Bend of Florida, the center part of the Panhandle going up, about a third of the way up into Georgia. I don't know how many stores he's got, but that's his region. And he said, and it's the end of the fiscal year. We're all getting inventory is a big thing. I don't get involved in that, but it's the end of the fiscal year. So he said, every year, each region, and there's some 200 regions around the country, nominates one person from that region to be driver of the year. And he said, and I've nominated you. And he says, the reason I've nominated you, and he went on to, say, I do more than drive. I represent the company. I collect bills. I manage. But it's a very low paying job, folks. What I do is, quite frankly, driving isn't worth that much. But and by the way, our store is in the top 1% in the nation. So, and I just it sometimes when you just feel like you're just can't go on, you feel like everything's arrayed against you, and you're feeling the weight of all this burden on your shoulder. It really is uplifting to have somebody affirm you. Now, I said I'd bring it home. Why did I tell you about that? Well, to brag on myself. Well, quite frankly, yes, but not really. You, no matter who you are, all of us, can be an encouragement to others. I would say if there's one need that is universal on this planet, it is the need for affirmation. People are starved for it. And no matter who you are, you can say a sincere and kind word of encouragement to anybody, and it just might make, you don't know the hell they're going through. It might make all the difference in the world to that person. So I am extremely fatigued, but I'm excited. I just thought, gosh, even if I'm, to be nominated is quite an honor, but just the fact that you're nominated means you're the best in the region. I thought, wow, 2 years. 2.5 now, I guess. I don't know. But that felt really good. And my wife was very encouraged. And, of course, I don't know, if you get that, if there's any money or I don't know what you get. But it doesn't matter, because I would do the same job if I were working for half of what I'm getting paid now, because the scripture tells us to do our work as unto the Lord and not as unto human masters. So whatever we're doing, throw yourself into it. And I'm reading trying to catch up on all the news, and it looks pretty pathetic out there. You'd think the whole world was coming to an end. But I assure you that we are victorious. We're just kind of running the clock out. The score was settled about 2,000 years ago, so it's all right. And but be an encouragement to others. It meant so much to me today to have just a few people just say attaboy. And it was really, they were worried about, we got this new account that'll be placing their first orders tomorrow, and they were worried that, we're understaffed, we're thin, we got a bunch of rookies. It's like, dude, I have beat teams far better than we are. Consistently. Don't worry about it. You can count on it. You can count on me. So, but also be the kind of person that when you say you can count on me, they believe it. If you ever heard somebody say, I'm telling you the truth, well, if you have to convince somebody that you're telling the truth, maybe you're not that truthful of a person to begin with. You ever heard used car salesman? Now, this is the honest to God truth. Yeah. But, all right, well, I'm beginning to ramble now. I'm very fatigued. But listen, I love all of you. And I want to be an encouragement to you. And I need encouragement too. And we all could use some encouragement. So let's be encouragers to one another. And let's be encouraging to those that are within our sphere, the people that we come in contact with. It may be a complete stranger. I challenge you to do something randomly crazy tomorrow, like if you're standing in line, like I do every morning to get my, I got to get my coffee at the Circle K store, and I got to get my Copenhagen there too. Well, there's somebody behind me with a cup of coffee. Just pay for theirs. Costs you less than a couple of bucks. And they may not say anything. Doesn't matter. Just do something to make somebody's day a little bit brighter. Of course, some of them would chase you down the parking lot. Why'd you do that? Well, if they ask you that, tell them why. You might want to think about your answer before they ask. You can let somebody in front of you in line. Maybe you're not in a hurry. Maybe you got 20 items and the guy behind you's only got 4 or 5. Let him ahead. Just bring joy into somebody's life. Don't you want joy brought into your life? Well, you reap what you sow. Yeah, it says that in the Bible. For God cannot be mocked. So as a man soweth, so shall he also reapeth. Now, I'm going to add a little coach to that. Now I'm going extra biblical. Extra biblical. You reap after you sow. You don't reap first and then sow late. I mean, you don't, it's like, here, give me a big harvest now and I'll plant a bunch of stuff next year. No, you sow first and then you reap. And there's also a lot of work in between. You don't just sow. You got to keep nurturing that stuff and pulling the weeds out, because the weeds will take over, But here's the other thing. You reap far more than you sow. If you take a handful of seed and sow it, you will have bushel baskets of harvest. Something to think about. Y'all have a good night. I'm really tired. Going to bed now.